Welcome, everyone. This is Jim Sporer with ISSIP, the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals, and it's a great pleasure to have my good colleague and friend, Markus Warg, from the University of Hamburg and the Service Design Center there that he started. Also a member of boards of insurance companies and the creator of Service Dominant Architecture, which is written about in our co-authored book, Service in the AI Era. And just before we started, I told Markus I remembered the very first time we met. It was at a conference in France, I believe an IBM conference. And
Yes.
Markus came over from Germany, all excited about service science and service dominant logic and the work he had been doing in the insurance industry to really accelerate the transformation of the financial industry and sector. And I just remember Markus' passion for this. He's been a huge supporter of ISSIP. He's an ISSIP ambassador, one of the donors that keeps ISSIP going. He's created educational material. I could go on and on about Markus, but let me just say, Markus, what we're trying to do here with this interview is interviews of people who've thought a lot, and you are a true expert, both academic and industry, which is what ISSIP loves when we find experts like you who have a foot in both camps. And we just want you to share some of your thinking about how is AI and digital transformation, how is this working in the finance industry? Are there any gaps? How do you think about data? All of these questions, and thank you for doing the survey. But let's just, again, a very informal discussion, very relaxed. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? So I want the folks in the ISSIP community to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, Jim. Great to be in your interview session. Great to be your guest. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Markus Warg, and I'm really a service science enthusiast because I was a board member over a lot of years, and a lot of explanation were missing there. For example, what is a platform, what is the ecosystem, and all these kind of explanations. And I found, for me, the great answers in service science and service dominant logic. And that was the starting point for me to really love these topics and to derive out of the service system thinking of service science and the value co-creation process of service dominant logic to derive a kind of construction plan for platforms, so-called service dominant architecture. And now I'm heading Institute of Service Design in Germany, and with this institute and in my role, I advise a lot of initiatives with special focus on health ecosystems, on mobility and insurance. And that's me, Jim.
Great, thanks. I have to come off mute here, but thanks for that brief introduction, Markus. And I do want to just, if we could, one of the first questions in the survey that you answered is how do you see AI transforming your industry, your business, and occupational roles? And I'm wondering if you could also give a little insight. Do you think, the AI transformation, are we really at the beginning of it, or are there gaps that we need to fill? And do you think the big players are going to benefit more from it at first, or the little players? How do you see AI transforming the financial sector?
Oh, I see. It is still there, and it will be there. And I think it's good to show, first of all, the difference to blockchain. For example, some years ago in Germany, everybody talked about blockchain and said, "Hey, it will change everything." And but it wasn't really the case in Germany. I don't know how it is in USA.
Yeah, it didn't transform that much. There were
Yeah.
other technologies that were older that came in and did a good job, but it was the hype. Everybody remembers the hype, but there were a few good applications that came out of it, but not so much. You're right. Yeah.
But and there's still maybe a big difference to AI. I see really a lot of initiatives, and all the great players like IBM, Google, Amazon, Microsoft are coming around with really interesting and with productivity enhancing tools and solutions.
Mm-hmm.
and the cooperation, which is in the DNA of service science and as the logic and service dominant architecture. Now, I think it will strengthen the capacities and capabilities for cooperation a lot because there are solutions, AI-based solutions, and there are entities like organizations like insurance companies or others that need to improve their processes and their solutions. And therefore, it is in the moment, it is really amazing and a really big impact. I don't know one company in Germany not still sometimes playing, building proof of concepts and greater initiatives to use AI. So it's a really strong development and a successful development in Germany.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you see? AI depends on data. So do you see what are the challenges with data? Do you see data scarcity or do you see data abundance? How do you think about data?
Yeah, I know a little bit both sides of the medal. The big companies and the small startups now are coming around with cool and good large language models and AI tools. And then they say, hey, Markus, why the big organizations change faster, transform themselves? It's quite easy with AI. And then I come to a board member of the big insurance groups and they say, hey, Markus, we tried it with claims processing or something in health insurance, and we really had bad emotions because the data quality was not there, and we had a lot of bad reactions, wrong message, wrong informations to our customer, wrong claims handling. That is our core process. So we put it back, and first of all, we need really to build up data quality, to build up our data strategy, to bring it on the road again. It's not a question if AI will be there. It is there today, but to be scaled up and really boosted, I think data quality is a big issue, Jim.
Yeah, and I think that, if you go back in time, even in the 90s, there was like a big shift in like the finance industry is heavily automated, but just recognizing signatures on checks and auditing that, the perceptual stuff was getting better and better. The recognition, character recognition, addresses, and things like that. But the when it comes to reasoning and natural language interface, I think there's always been this hope, oh, now with generative AI, the natural language part is solved. But if you don't have the accuracy, when you're bringing up information to give guidance to people, if there's errors, I think sometimes they're called hallucinations. That's a big problem still. And in a heavily regulated industry like banking and insurance, things have to be right. And also there's these issues of bias in the data, making loans and things like this. So I think the financial sector has really been not only a good early adopter, but it's been a good lens for looking at AI and saying, here are the strengths, here are the weaknesses, here are some of the gaps that are coming. And I'm wondering if maybe you could say a little bit about how you approach data quality. Is that something that you think a lot about?
Yeah, yeah. So coming again to the difference to blockchain. So it's the high risk and the really important core processes are not in the moment transformed by AI because the data quality is missing. Absolutely right, Jim. But processes like administrative tasks or service tasks. For example, one great company just said if you get your insurance policies and insurance message, it's really boring for the customer. They know it's a long document and it's hard to come to the point. And now we see developments in Germany so that in the customer app, you are asked, hey, Marcus, you got a new insurance message or from your policy update. Are you interested to get a summary in 5 points, AI-based summary? This kind, or the people in a big company, they have a lot of administrative tasks like working rules, like travel guidelines. They have 24 documents just to know what they are allowed to do and what they don't allow to do. And so they ask now AI based. Do I have always to stay at home if I work remote? These kind of questions, everything is now is on its track to be AI supported and transformed with AI. So just to be precise in my position, it is only the really important data in the core processes like claims regulation and so on. There's still lacking. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like what you said about the and I'm getting a reminding of that first meeting we had in France years ago now. But personalization, this generative AI is pretty good at summarization and personalization. And you still want a human in the loop to look at it and make sure that it's good. But I remember when we had that very first conversation about service dominant architecture, you talked about, imagine a person with an insurance policy and they're a young person just starting out. Maybe it's for their apartment, or maybe it's somebody who's got a kid in college and they got multiple cars and they've got the summer home and, later in the career. But, each of these people, and maybe the person is a banker or an insurance person, so they actually have some deep knowledge about regulatory changes. Or maybe the person's a truck driver or a small business owner. And I remember your passion for with these coming AI capabilities, and this was even before the generative AI stuff was big. You were anticipating that it was coming, and you were saying the amount of personalization is going to transform the insurance industry because we'll be able to get the information to the people that they need at the right time in a way they can understand, and that's going to transform things. And could you just say a little bit more about, do you see this personalization and summarization? Do you see that on a good vector? Is that actually making it into product, or is it still R&D?
It's going ahead with full speed. Exactly as you mentioned, it is you have the chance with an interaction. It's always resource integration, service exchange. It's a learning moment, and you can adapt your value proposition in this moment. It doesn't matter if you are an insurance company or in any other industry. You can adapt your value proposition. You can initiate an event-based action, something like that, to bring better service. And we really see a lot of initiatives. For example, Allianz Insurance Group with a health platform to do exactly that, to learn from the tariffs and the interaction and to connect new capabilities to build the next best value proposition. So it's exactly a little bit what you call since years to digital twin, something like that is coming to build up an understanding and database understanding of the customers. The showstopper and the party crasher in the moment is really the data quality. So just one example, Signal Iduna has a digital document store with more than 50 million documents real-time available, but the quality of a lot of the documents isn't in a way so that they can use it really to interact in real time and to push the next event and go on. So there's a lot of homework to do. But it's not, again, it's not the question if it will come, it's the question when it will be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like to shift gears just a little bit now because, and I hope people take a look at the service dominant architecture chapter in our book, Service in the AI Era, and see the references because we have extensive references, and your papers are always full of case studies, which are fantastic. But the other thing I'd like to focus on a little bit in this interview is, besides the financial sector, is the fact that you bridge industry and academia. And, from an ISSIP community perspective, that's what we like, is to get people with expertise in both areas. And when it comes to hiring in companies, there's hiring of engineers, there's hiring of managers, there's hiring of data scientists, there's hiring of designers, to get it all integrated. Could you just say a little bit about, in the real world, where do you see the hiring gaps? Do you see is it the hiring the data scientists and getting the data quality? Is that, I know that's an urgent priority, but also the designers for the user experience and the engineers for maybe the mathematical models and the quantitative models. I mean, and the managers to make it all work. So certainly there's a need for all of these, but do you have some insights you could share with us on how you see hiring happening and is it are we looking for these T-shaped people still? What's your thoughts on this, Marcus?
Yeah,
Just, what are you seeing?
yes, yeah, I absolutely have, and but we have to be strong, and it's face reality, to be honest, Jim.
Yeah.
If you look to the German schools and universities, the mindset, the processes, the fundamentals like service science, dominant logic are taught in a minimum. Not it's hard to find them, and it is always the same stuff, the classics from finance and so on. But it's not the things interesting for me, for you, for me, and explaining the world, explaining how platforms, ecosystems, AI is working, and so there's really a big gap between, on the one hand, schools and universities and the students coming out from them,
Mhm.
and then the startups and the companies. They need this, and the agile culture, the new roles like product owner, agile coaches, service designers, and so on. They close this gap. They
Mhm.
bring this kind of education on the road, which should be there years before.
Mhm.
And that's the big situation and the big problem, to be honest, in Germany.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this upcoming meeting's on the transformation of finance, but the next one's on the transformation of education. And I think some of the comments you just made there speak to the ongoing need for transformation in higher education, and maybe AI will have some impact. We're coming to the end of the time, and I just wanted to maybe ask two last questions. One question is just about um, I think Germany is a leader in the apprenticeship model, the transition of students into work. And I know Finland does a great job with that, and Denmark are two countries I know where, students can get an education, but they also get, jobs, real paying jobs for going out and working. And we don't have that so much in the US. And could you say a little bit maybe about what you see really working well? And it doesn't have to just be in Germany, it could be anywhere in the world. Um, where things you think are working well for that transition of students into employment and where you see it maybe not working so well. I'm curious your thoughts there, Marcus.
Oh, I think the students and the possibilities for them in German companies, that the doors are open, that the new roles are demanded, and that the students take these chances and evolve themselves. That is really great work. From my students and even from in my family, I see that they start in their jobs and they learn the new roles like Scrum manager, product owner, agile coach, and so on, and then they learn platforms and all this transformation stuff. So that is really working great.
Okay.
What is again really with big steps going ahead is the awareness that cooperation is necessary. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of German companies are really strong and in a good shape and in a good financial condition, even if they tell a little bit other things sometimes, but they are fine.
Yeah.
And but they realize that they need to understand AI, that they need to build up T-shaped capabilities and skills and competencies, but they even more need cooperations. So that's still in the most traditional areas in Germany, the companies start to cooperate with the big American companies like Google, IBM, and all these companies, and that is really positive. On the other hand, to be honest, is to bring the mindset, the process of value co-creation, the the working of service systems with mutual value creation is a little bit like a flywheel, like Jim Collins from Good to Great. He mentioned that you start with a process, you start with the small steps, and then you get the moment and turn the flywheel, and it's getting traction more and more. So that will take time, and that's slower than I would love to be it, but. Under the line, it is really, really a good cooperation and a good ecosystem overall between students and companies in Germany.
Yeah, great, great. I agree. I would say, we just got a minute left, and I want to use this series, and we'll have more ISIP in the transformation of industry sector from, education is next. Then I think we have retail and hospitality, supply chain, IT, and energy. So we're looking at these industry transformations, and we're trying to think of if there's a Moore's law as the marginal cost of computation keeps dropping as AI capabilities keep increasing, as the digital transformation goes underway. What are the measures that we can look at and see that are going to be on some accelerating exponential change? And I'll just throw one out to get us thinking together here on this, and I'd love your thoughts. Is like the other day, my wife Diane, she said, "Do you know what the revenue per employee is for NVIDIA?" And I said, "I have no idea." And she goes, 120 million revenue per employee. And I was going, whoa. I think when I was at IBM, we were at like, 600,000 per revenue per employee. And maybe Google was like a million, but 100 million per employee revenue. I mean, and is that the thing that we're going to start seeing? Is it revenue per employee, or GDP for a country? Is it GDP per worker? What in your mind are we going to see? All this AI, all this computation. What is the measure that we're just going to keep going? Wow, look at this. Do you have
Yeah,
any thoughts on that?
yeah. As you know, I'm an enthusiast of service science, of service many years, and what my experience is that I love this KPI you mentioned from NVIDIA, but I think it will not be the kind of financial and classical KPIs. We need new and. Just some in the last days, I had some good conversations, and some board members told me, Marcus, we are happy we got really good talents, and the years they are in our company, we are happy too if they stay longer than 2 years. So in Germany, in the startup culture, the people move away after 2 years roundabout. So I think it's a little bit maybe like talents per unit, something every in that you will see what is the core competency or the T-shaped competencies you need for your company, and are you able as a company to attract and to hold the right talents? That maybe can
Yay.
be a KPI for the future.
I love it. I love it, Marcus. That is so great. And yeah, and the distinction maybe between customers and employees starts blurring because we're all on this platform trying to accelerate our productivity and creativity on these platforms. That's a fantastic answer. Thank you,
Just
Marcus, so much.
just give one recommendation, and there's from Louis, my That's exactly going in this direction. Thank you very much, Jim, for your time and the interview.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, actually, Mighty Me is an important direction. We'll catch up more, I'm sure, in the weeks and months ahead, Marcus. But thank you so much. I'll get this posted, and we'll continue with all this great work and having fun and learning together. Thank you so much, Marcus.
I have to thank you. It's my pleasure. Thanks, Jim. Bye bye.
Bye now.